There is a prayer most people say wrong, not because the words are wrong, but because they are praying to fall asleep, when what they actually need is to finally feel safe. You have probably tried it, lying there in the dark, reciting the same tired lines you learned as a child, hoping exhaustion will do what faith could not. And it works for a night, maybe two, but the peace never stays. It leaves the moment your eyes open again. Tonight, I want to show you something different, not a prayer that puts you to sleep faster, a prayer that changes what happens while you sleep, one that reaches past the noise in your chest and speaks directly to the part of you that has been guarding itself for years, waiting for permission to finally stop. Some of you have been carrying something so long, you have forgotten it has weight at all. You just call it how I am now, tired, watchful, never quite at ease, even in your own bed. But real peace has been waiting for you, not the kind that numbs you, the kind that holds you. Stay with me tonight. We are going to pray this the right way. There is a verse that gets quoted so often, it has almost stopped meaning anything. You have probably heard it in 100 sermons, seen it stitched onto a pillow, maybe even said it yourself without really stopping to feel the weight of it. It comes from the Gospel of John, and Jesus says it to men who are about to watch everything fall apart around them. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. John 14:27. I want you to notice something in that verse that most people skip past. Jesus does not say, I will give you peace once your circumstances improve. He does not say, peace will come after the diagnosis clears, after the marriage heals, after the bills are paid, after your children finally call you back. He says, my peace I give unto you, present tense, already given, already yours, sitting there, unopened, like a gift left on the table while you keep pacing the room looking for it somewhere else. That is the difference between the peace the world offers and the peace he is talking about. The world's peace is conditional. It says, calm down once the noise stops. Relax once the threat is gone. Rest once you have earned it, once you have fixed it, once you have proven you deserve it. That is the peace you have been chasing your whole life, and it is exhausting because it is always one circumstance away. It moves every time you get close to it. But the peace Jesus describes does not wait for your life to calm down first. It arrives in the middle of the storm, not after it. Think about the moment this verse was spoken. Jesus was hours from arrest. His closest friends were about to scatter. Betrayal was already in motion at the table, and in the middle of all of that, he is not promising them an easier road. He is handing them something to carry through the hard one. That is what real peace actually is. Not the absence of trouble, the presence of something steadier than the trouble. I think this is where so many of us get it backwards. Especially the longer we live, we start to believe peace is a reward for getting our life in order, like there is some finish line where the anxiety finally stops, where the sleepless nights finally end, where we finally feel safe enough to put our guard down. So we keep working toward that line, keep managing, keep holding it together, and we tell ourselves, once I get there, I will finally rest. But some of you have been running toward that line for 20 years, 30, and it keeps moving. Here is the truth, buried inside that old, familiar verse. Peace was never something you were supposed to arrive at. It was something you were supposed to receive. There is a difference between a destination and a gift. A destination is something you earn through effort, through enough right decisions. through finally getting everything under control. A gift is something someone hands you while you are still in the middle of the mess, still afraid, still uncertain, still not finished fixing anything. Jesus is not congratulating his disciples on how well they have managed their circumstances. He is looking at 11 frightened, imperfect, about to fail him men, and he is giving them peace anyway. Not because they earned it, because he had it to give, and he chose to give it to them before the hardest night of their lives, not after. I wonder how different your nights would feel if you actually believed that was true for you too. Because here is what I have noticed, both in my own life and in the lives of the people I have sat with over the years, the ones lying awake at 2 a.m. running, through everything that could go wrong, replaying conversations, rehearsing worst-case scenarios like preparing for a test they are terrified to fail. Underneath almost all of that sleeplessness is a quiet, unspoken belief. If I just stay alert enough, if I just keep thinking about this long enough, I can somehow keep it from getting worse. You have made yourself the guard at the gate, and guards do not sleep. Guards stay awake, scanning, bracing, ready. But you were never meant to carry that post alone. That is the whole weight of what Jesus is offering in that verse. Not a technique for calming your thoughts, not a formula for better sleep, but a transfer. He says, I leave with you and I give unto you the language of something being handed over, taken off one set of shoulders and placed onto another. There is an old teaching that says, the peace of God passeth all understanding, meaning it does not always make logical sense. It is not peace because the situation has been resolved. It is peace that arrives even when the situation has not been resolved yet, standing guard over your heart and mind in a way your own vigilance never could. That word troubled in the verse, let not your heart be troubled, is not a suggestion to simply try harder not to worry. It is an invitation, because right before that line, Jesus says, let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. He is not telling frightened men to stop feeling what they feel through sheer willpower. He is giving them somewhere to place their trust that is stronger than their fear. That is the shift I want to offer you tonight. Not stop worrying. You have tried that 1,000 times, and if it worked, you would not still be lying awake. Instead, a handoff. The same one those 11 men were offered in an upper room the night before everything fell apart. You do not have to keep standing guard tonight. The peace being offered to you is not the world's peace, the kind that depends on your circumstances lining up just right before you are allowed to exhale. It is a peace given to you in advance, before the hard parts resolve, before the answers come, before you have it all figured out. It was already left with you, already given. You are not waiting for it to arrive somewhere down the road. It is here, in this room, tonight, waiting for you to finally stop guarding the gate and let it in. Real peace has been waiting for you far longer than you have been looking for it. I want to tell you about a man named Walter. Walter lived most of his life on a small farm outside a town in Nebraska, the kind of place where the nearest neighbor was visible only as a distant porch light after dark. He had run that land since he was 19 years old, had buried his father in the small cemetery down the county road, had raised 3 children in a house with a roof he had patched more times than he could count. By the time he turned 70, his hands had the look of a man who had never once asked the earth for anything easy. Walter was not a man who talked much about fear. If you had asked him, he would have told you he did not have much of it left, not after losing a wife to cancer, not after watching 2 bad harvests nearly take the farm, not after outliving most of the men he grew up with. He had survived enough that survival had almost become his whole personality. Stubborn, watchful, always one step ahead of the next disaster, because he had learned the hard way that disasters do not knock before they arrive. But there was one thing Walter never told anyone, not even his children. Every night, before he turned off the lamp beside his bed, he ran through a list in his head. The lists changed depending on the season. Sometimes it was the weather forecast for the next 3 days. Sometimes it was the price of grain. Sometimes it was his youngest son's marriage, which had been shaky for years. He called it thinking it through. His late wife used to call it something else. She used to say, "Walter, you're not thinking it through. You're just refusing to put it down." She had been gone 11 years, and Walter still had not learned how to put it down. One October, his daughter Ruth came to stay with him for a week while she helped him get the house ready for winter. She noticed something she had not paid attention to before: the light under his bedroom door. Still on well past midnight, night after night. On the 4th night, she knocked and let herself in, and found her father sitting up in bed. Not reading, not doing anything at all, just sitting, staring at the wall, his jaw tight the way it got when he was working through a problem that had no solution. "Dad," she said, "what's going on?" He waved her off at first, the way he waved off most things. Said he was fine, said he just had a lot on his mind, said she should get to bed. But Ruth did not leave. She sat down at the foot of the bed the way she used to when she was a little girl, and he would tell her stories before sleep, and she waited. Finally, Walter said something she had never heard him say in her whole life. "I don't know how to stop keeping watch." He explained it slowly, the way men like Walter explain things a little at a time, testing whether it is safe to keep going. He told her about the hailstorm that took half a crop the year she was 12, and how he had sworn after that he would never again be caught unprepared. He told her about the year the bank almost took the land, and how he had promised himself he would never again be blindsided by anything he could have seen coming if he had just paid closer attention. Every hard season had taught him the same lesson over and over: stay alert, or you will lose something you cannot get back. "So now," he said, "I lay here every night and I go through everything. The weather, the money, your brother's marriage, all of it. Because if I stop thinking about it, even for one night, I'm scared something will slip through while I'm not watching." Ruth was quiet for a long moment. Then she asked him something simple. "Dad, in all those years of staying up and running through your list, how many disasters did it actually stop?" Walter opened his mouth to answer and then closed it again. He thought about the hailstorm. He had not seen it coming. No amount of worrying the nights before would have changed a single hailstone falling from that sky. He thought about the bank, and how the thing that actually saved the farm was not his sleepless nights, but a decision made months earlier, in daylight, with a clear head, after actual rest. He thought about his son's marriage, which had, in fact, slowly gotten better over the past year, not because Walter had lain awake, fixing it in his mind each night, but almost entirely without his help at all. "None," he said finally, quietly. "It never stopped anything. I just didn't sleep through any of it." Ruth reached over and turned off the lamp herself. In the dark, she said something her mother used to say to her when she was small and afraid of storms. "You can let it go now, Dad. It'll still be there in the morning if it needs you. But it doesn't need you tonight." Walter did not fall asleep quickly that night. Old habits do not leave in a single conversation, but he told Ruth, years later, that something shifted in him that night. Not a fix, not a cure, just a crack of light let in. He began to understand that all those years of keeping watch, had never once protected anyone. It had only cost him rest he was never going to get back. He started, slowly, to let his nights be nights. Not because his circumstances got easier. They didn't, not really. But because he finally began to believe what his wife had tried to tell him for 30 years. That putting something down before sleep was not the same as abandoning it. It would still be there in the morning. It always had been. The only thing that changed was whether he met it, rested, or exhausted. I think about Walter often, because I think most of us are running our own version of his list every single night, convinced that our vigilance is the only thing standing between us and disaster, as if peace is something we have to earn through worry, as if rest is a risk we cannot afford to take. But watch is not the same as worry, and letting something go for the night is not the same as losing it. Let's pray together now, wherever you are in your bed, in the dark, maybe still holding on to something you have been carrying all day. Just let your body settle where it is. You do not have to fold your hands. You do not have to close your eyes if you are not ready. Just let this be a moment where someone sits with you and speaks to God on your behalf while you simply listen. Father, I come to you tonight on behalf of the one listening to these words. You already know their name. You already know what has kept them awake more nights than they would ever admit out loud. You know the list they run through in the dark, the same list Walter used to run through, the same list so many of us have carried for years without ever putting it down. Tonight, I ask you to help them finally set it down. Lord, you said you do not give peace the way the world gives it. The world's peace comes with conditions. Calm down once it's fixed, relax once it's resolved. But you offer something different. You offer peace in the middle of the unresolved, peace before the answer comes. I ask that you would give that kind of peace tonight, right now, to the one hearing this prayer, for the ones carrying financial worry, the bills that don't quite add up, the retirement that feels less certain than it used to, the fear of becoming a burden to the people they love, Lord. You know this fear intimately. You fed 5,000 from a few loaves and fish. You know how to make what feels insufficient become enough. Tonight, I ask you to loosen the grip that money worry has on their chest. Let them remember that you have never once let go of them, not on their best years and not on their leanest ones. For the ones lying awake because of a relationship that has grown distant, a child who does not call the way they used to, a marriage that has settled into silence instead of closeness, a friendship that quietly faded and neither person knows how to bring it back, Lord. You are the God who restores. You brought the prodigal son home. You are still in the business of bringing people back to each other. Tonight, soften whatever has grown hard. Where there is distance, plant the first seed of a bridge. Where there is silence, let it not be the final word. For the ones whose bodies are not doing what they used to, the diagnosis they are still adjusting to, the ache that reminds them every morning that they are not as young as they feel inside, the fear of what tomorrow's test results might say. Lord, you are the God who heals. And even when healing does not come the way we hope, you are the God who stays close through the sickness. I ask you to sit with them in that fear tonight. Let them feel your nearness more than they feel their symptoms. For the ones grieving someone they lost, a spouse, a parent, a friend who used to fill the empty side of the room, Lord. Grief does not follow a schedule, and it often gets loudest right when the house goes quiet at night. I ask that you would meet them in that particular kind of silence. Let them feel, even faintly, that the person they lost is safe in your hands, and that their own grief is not something they have to carry entirely alone. For the ones who feel like they have failed a mistake they cannot stop replaying. A version of themselves they wish they could have been for the people who needed them. Guilt that shows up right when they are trying to rest, Lord. You do not hold our failures over us the way we hold them over ourselves. You sent your Son not to condemn but to save. Tonight, I ask you to quiet the voice of condemnation and let the quieter, truer voice of grace be the one they fall asleep hearing. For the ones who are tired in a way sleep alone cannot fix. The caregivers who have spent years watching over someone else's needs before their own. The parents still worrying over grown children who no longer live under their roof. The ones who have been strong for everybody else for so long they have forgotten what it feels like to be cared for themselves, Lord. Tonight I ask that you would be the one who cares for the caregiver. Let them feel, if only for these few minutes, what it is to simply be held instead of holding everyone else up. For the ones who feel far from you tonight, the ones whose faith has grown quiet over the years, worn thin by disappointment, by prayers that seemed to go unanswered, by a season that made it harder to believe you were paying attention, Lord. I ask that you would not wait for their faith to feel strong again before drawing near. Meet them exactly where they are, in the doubt, in the weariness, in the version of belief that is barely holding on. You have never required certainty as the price of your presence. And Lord, for every fear that has no name, the vague, formless anxiety that shows up at 11 p.m. with no clear reason, just a tightness in the chest and a mind that will not stop moving, I ask that you would be near, even there, in the fear too shapeless to explain. You do not need it explained. You already understand it better than we do. Help the one listening tonight to remember that they were never meant to stand guard alone. That the peace you give does not depend on the storm ending first. That real peace has been waiting for them, not somewhere far off in the future, but right here, tonight, available the moment they stop reaching for it and simply receive it. Let their breathing slow. Let their shoulders drop. Let whatever they were holding on to when this prayer began feel a little lighter now than it did a few minutes ago. Let the muscles in their jaw unclench, the ones they did not even realize they were tightening. Let the thoughts that have been circling all evening finally slow to a stop, like a wheel that no longer needs to keep spinning tonight. Cover them through the night. Watch over their home, their family, everyone they love, the ones nearby and the ones far away, the ones they speak to daily and the ones they have lost touch with, but still carry in their heart. And when morning comes, let them wake not just rested in body, but reminded that they were never carrying any of this by themselves to begin with. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. You can rest now. It has already been handed to him. Let's slow down together now. There is no need to hurry through what comes next. Let every word settle before the next one arrives. I want to read you some verses tonight. Old words, ones you have likely heard before, but I want you to hear them tonight as if for the first time. Not as verses to memorize, as words spoken directly to you in this room right now. From Psalm 23, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Sit with that for a moment. Not the Lord was my shepherd back when things made sense. Not the Lord will be my shepherd once I've earned it. The Lord is your shepherd. Present tense. Tonight he maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Notice, he makes you lie down. Some of us do not lie down easily. We have to be led there, gently, by someone who knows we will not stop moving on our own. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. With not will restore, some day, eventually. The restoring is already happening even now, even in the part of you that still feels tired and unfinished. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Notice what the psalm does not say. It does not say you will avoid the valley. It does not promise an easy road around the hard parts. It says, even walking through it, even in the middle of the shadow, fear no evil, because of presence, not because the valley disappeared. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Let that last line rest in you a moment. Goodness and mercy following you, not chasing you down because you have finally earned it, following the way a shepherd's flock is followed, watched, cared for, whether the sheep are aware of it or not. Take a breath. Now let's move to Psalm 91, a passage that has comforted the frightened for thousands of years before you. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In Him will I trust. A refuge is not something you build for yourself out of worry and vigilance. A refuge is somewhere you go to stop building, stop bracing, stop standing guard. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler, and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. Notice the terror by night. The psalmist knew about this, knew about the fear that shows up specifically after dark, when the house goes quiet and the mind starts running through everything it managed to avoid all day. That fear has a name in Scripture. It has been known and named and answered for thousands of years. You are not the first to feel it, and you are not facing it without help. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. You do not have to understand every word of that to feel the shape of it. It is a promise of nearness, of being set apart, kept, watched over even while trouble moves close by. For He shall give His angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. Let that settle. Charge over thee, not a suggestion, a charge, an assignment, a command given, watching specifically over you tonight. Take another breath. Let your shoulders lower, just slightly, wherever they have been sitting too high. Let's read from Psalm 121 as well. A psalm the ancient travelers used to speak on the road, when the journey ahead felt uncertain and the night was closing in. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Think about that phrase. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. You have been the one standing watch for so long, refusing to close your eyes fully, afraid that the moment you rest, something will slip past unnoticed. But this verse says something different. There is a watchman who never grows tired, never dozes, never misses a single hour of the night on your behalf. You were never meant to be your own watchman. You already have one. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth, and even for evermore. There is one more passage I want to leave with you tonight, from Psalm 4. I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. Read that again in your mind. Lay me down in peace and sleep. Not lay me down and hope for peace. Not lay me down and try to force sleep through sheer exhaustion. Lay down in peace and sleep, because safety was never something you had to manufacture for yourself. It was something given, held, guarded by someone whose watch does not grow tired the way yours does. Real peace has been waiting for you inside these very words, long before tonight, long before you knew you would need them. You do not have to hold on to anything else right now. Not the list, not the worry, not the version of the day that keeps replaying. Just these words, settling over you the way a blanket settles over tired shoulders on a cold night. Somewhere tonight, in a house not so different from yours, someone else is reading these very same words, carrying their own version of your fear, their own version of your tired chest and racing thoughts. You are not the only one the shepherd is watching over. There is comfort in that too, not because your struggle is smaller, but because it is shared, held by the same steady hands that have held every frightened soul who ever whispered these psalms into the dark. The Lord is your shepherd, you shall not want. He restoreth your soul tonight, even now. Let it be enough, just for tonight, to simply receive that. I want to say some things to you now. Simple things, true things. You do not need to do anything with them except let them land. You did enough today. Even on the days that felt like they slipped through your hands, the days you meant to accomplish more, connect more, be more present, you did enough. Today is closed now. It does not need anything else from you. You are allowed to rest without earning it first. Rest was never a reward you had to unlock. It was a gift, offered freely, the same way breath is offered freely, the same way morning light finds its way through the curtains whether or not you did anything to deserve it. You are not behind. However, it feels like everyone else figured out something you missed. Like there was a version of life you were supposed to have by now that somehow slipped past you. You are not behind. There is no schedule you failed to keep. There is only your life unfolding exactly the way it has, and that is enough. It is okay to not have it all figured out. You do not need every answer before you are allowed to sleep. The uncertainty you are carrying does not disqualify you from peace. It never did. Faith was never about having no questions. It was always about trusting the one who holds the answers, even while you wait for them. You are loved apart from your usefulness, not because of what you provide, what you fix, what you carry for other people, just because you exist. That love does not fluctuate with your performance, does not shrink on the days you fall short, does not grow only on the days you feel strong. You can let go of what you cannot control. The version of tomorrow you keep rehearsing tonight, it does not need you to solve it right now. It will still be there in the morning, and you will meet it then with rested eyes instead of exhausted ones. Nothing you solve at midnight is solved better than what you solve after real rest. Your worth was never up for debate. Not in the mirror, not in the comparison, not in the quiet voice that likes to remind you of every place you fell short. That voice does not get the final word tonight. It never actually did. It only ever sounded loud because the room was quiet enough to hear it. You are safe right now, in this exact moment. Whatever is unresolved out there in the world can stay unresolved a little longer. Right here, right now, in this bed, in this room, you are safe. Nothing is required of you. Not a decision, not a plan, not a single thing to figure out before you're allowed to close your eyes. You are allowed to soften. You have spent so long being strong for other people, for your children, your spouse, your co-workers, your own younger self who needed someone to be strong for them and had no one. Tonight, you do not have to be strong. You are allowed to simply be tired, and let that be all right. You did not fail by needing rest. Needing rest is not weakness. It is not a character flaw. It is the most human thing there is. Even the ground needs a season of rest before it can grow anything again. Even the most faithful men and women in Scripture had nights where they simply needed to lay their burden down. You are not carrying this alone. Even in the moments it feels that way, even in the specific, particular loneliness of 11 p.m., when everyone else is asleep and you are still awake with your thoughts, you are not alone. There is a presence in this room with you tonight that has never once left, not for a single hour of your life, even the hours you did not notice it. Your past does not define what tonight can be. Whatever mistakes are sitting in the back of your mind, whatever version of yourself you wish had made different choices, that is not who gets to decide how you rest tonight. Grace decides that, and grace has already made its decision about you. Long before tonight, long before you even knew you would need it this badly. You are exactly where you need to be. Not because everything is perfect, because this moment, imperfect, unfinished, uncertain, is still held, still watched over, still safe enough to close your eyes in. You do not have to have your life fully assembled to be allowed to rest inside of it tonight. You have permission to stop performing, even for yourself. There is no audience tonight. No one grading how well you are handling things. It is just you and the quiet, and a God who already sees every part of you and stays anyway. You are allowed to ask for help, whether it is help from God, help from someone who loves you, or simply help finding the words to say what you are actually feeling. Asking is not weakness. Even Walter, stubborn as he was, needed his daughter to sit at the foot of the bed and remind him it was safe to put the list down. Your body has been working hard, and it deserves rest too. Not just your mind. Your body has been carrying you through every difficult day, every long conversation, every ache you have learned to push through without complaint. Tonight, let your body rest as fully as your mind is learning to. You are not required to have hope figured out tonight, only to borrow some. If your own hope feels thin right now, that is all right. You can rest on the hope of everyone who has prayed these same words before you, the hope that has outlasted 1,000 hard nights before yours. You will still be loved tomorrow, exactly the way you are loved tonight. Nothing about waking up will change what is true right now. The love that is holding you tonight does not have an expiration date. Real peace has been waiting for you this whole time, in every one of these small truths, quietly, patiently, the way it has been waiting since the very first words of this video. You can let your guard down now. You can stop keeping the list. You can stop rehearsing tomorrow. You can simply be here, breathing, resting, held. You did enough today. You are enough tonight. You can rest now. Now, let's just be still together for a while. There is nothing to figure out in this part. Nothing to solve. No lesson coming. Just quiet. You can let your eyes close now, if they haven't already. Feel the weight of your body where it rests, the mattress beneath you, the blanket over you, the stillness of the room around you. You don't have to think about anything specific right now. Just breathe in and out. Nothing is required of you in this moment. Not a thought, not a word, not a plan for tomorrow. Just this. Just now. Just rest. The room is quiet. The night is holding you. You are safe here. Let your shoulders sink a little deeper into the bed. Let your hands go soft. Let your jaw unclench. There is nowhere else you need to be. Somewhere outside, the night continues on without needing anything from you. The stars keep their place in the sky. The world keeps turning. And you get to simply rest inside of it. Maybe there's rain against the window somewhere tonight. Maybe there's only silence. Either way, it asks nothing of you. You don't have to hold on to today anymore. You don't have to prepare for tomorrow yet. Just this moment, just this breath. Feel how heavy your eyelids have become, how far away your thoughts are starting to drift. That is not something to fight. That is exactly where you are meant to be right now. You are not alone in this silence. He is here too, watching, keeping, staying close, even in the quiet, especially in the quiet. The house is quiet now. The day is fully behind you. There is nothing left to hold on to except this stillness, and it is enough. There is nothing else for you to do tonight but exist right here, exactly as you are. If a thought drifts in a worry, a memory, a fragment of tomorrow, you don't have to chase it away. Just notice it gently and let it pass by like a cloud crossing a quiet sky. Notice the quiet weight of the blanket over you, the small warmth gathering where your body meets the mattress. There is nothing to adjust, nothing to arrange. Just this, exactly as it is. Somewhere, far off, a clock is marking the hour, quietly, without urgency. It does not need you to keep pace with it tonight. There is no rush to fall asleep. There is no rush to do anything at all. Wherever you are, in the room, in the bed, in the dark, you are covered, you are kept, you are known. Let the last thought of the day pass through you gently, like the final line of a song fading out, not demanding an encore, just settling into silence. Feel your breathing slow, on its own, without you having to try. There is a stillness that comes only at the end of a long day, the kind that cannot be rushed toward, only arrived at. You are arriving at it now. If your mind wanders back to something from today, let it wander. It does not need your attention right now. It can simply pass, like a car on a distant road, headlights sweeping across the ceiling and gone. This is not empty silence. This is filled silence, the kind that holds you rather than the kind that isolates you. The presence in this room does not need you to speak to know you are here, and does not need you to perform peace in order to give it to you. Let your hands rest open instead of closed. There is nothing left to hold on to tonight that requires gripping. Somewhere far away, someone else is lying awake too, carrying their own version of tonight's tiredness. You do not have to fix that for them right now. You only have to rest, and let your rest be its own quiet kind of prayer. Feel the floor of the house beneath you, steady, unmoving, the way it has held this room through every night before tonight. You are held the same way. There is nothing waiting on the other side of sleep that cannot wait a little longer. The morning will come whether you worry about it or not. Let it come on its own. The night outside continues, unhurried, uninterrupted by anything you are or are not doing right now. Notice how quiet your thoughts have become, even without you forcing them to be quiet. That is not something you did. That is something being done for you. You do not need a final thought to end the day well. You only need to let it end. Whatever it was, good or hard or simply ordinary, it has already become the past, and the past does not need to be relived tonight. Just this breath, and this one, just rest now. You can let go. You can rest now. If you have made it this far with me tonight, thank you for staying. Thank you for letting these words sit with you instead of rushing past them the way most of the world rushes past everything. I don't know exactly what brought you here tonight. Maybe it was the title, a small warning that made you curious enough to click. Because some part of you already suspected there was a difference between the prayers we say out of habit and the kind of prayer that actually reaches the place where the fear lives. Or maybe you have been searching for something like this for a while now. Some quiet corner of the internet where someone would simply sit with you in the dark instead of trying to fix you. Either way, I hope tonight showed you something true. Real peace was never something you had to build for yourself, brick by brick, worry by worry, sleepless night by sleepless night. It was already given, already left with you, the way Jesus left it with 11 frightened men the night before the hardest day of their lives. Not because they had earned it, not because their circumstances had improved, but because he had it to give and chose to give it before the trouble, not after. I think about Walter sometimes, and the years he spent standing guard over a farm, a family, a life he loved so much he was terrified of losing any part of it. I think about all those nights he sat awake running through his list, believing his vigilance was the only thing holding it all together. And I think about the night his daughter finally reached over and turned off the lamp and said the thing his own heart needed to hear for 30 years, that it would still be there in the morning, and it did not need him tonight. Maybe you have your own version of Walter's list. Maybe it has your children's names on it, or the number in your bank account, or a diagnosis you are still learning how to carry, or a grief that shows up loudest right when the house goes quiet. Whatever it is, I want you to hear this clearly before you close your eyes tonight. It does not need you right now. It will still be there tomorrow if it needs you then, but not tonight. Tonight, you are allowed to lay it down. You are allowed to stop being the one who keeps watch, because there is someone who never sleeps, never grows tired, never once takes his eyes off you, not for a single hour of your life, whether you noticed him there or not. We talked tonight about a peace that does not wait for your circumstances to improve first, the kind that arrives in the middle of the storm rather than after it passes. We read from the Psalms, the same words that comforted shepherds on hillsides and travelers on uncertain roads long before either of us was born. We named some of the whispered truths that most of us need to hear more often than we actually let ourselves hear them. That you did enough today. That your worth was never up for debate. That you are allowed to soften even after a lifetime of having to be strong. And we sat together in silence for a little while too, because sometimes the most honest prayer is simply the quiet itself. No words needed, no explanation required, just presence held. If you are the kind of person who has spent years being the strong one for your children, for your spouse, for co-workers who leaned on you, for a younger version of yourself who never had anyone to lean on, I hope tonight gave you permission to set that role down for just a few hours. The world will still need you to be strong again tomorrow. It does not need that from you right now. Real peace has been waiting for you this whole time, not somewhere far off, not on the other side of some circumstance finally resolving itself. Right here, tonight, available the moment you stop reaching for it and simply let it settle over you the way it was always meant to. You did enough today. You do not have to carry tomorrow yet. You are held exactly as you are in this exact moment. If this video found you at the right time tonight, I hope you will let it find you again whenever the nights feel long. There will always be a place here for you, waiting, whenever you need somewhere to lay it all down, whenever the list gets too heavy again, whenever the watch feels too lonely to keep alone. You were never meant to carry it by yourself. That was always the whole point. May God bless your night with peace, rest, and the quiet assurance that He is watching over you. You can lay it down now. Good night, and God bless.